This is the old dirty basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor,
history, and copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
hey, this is Dave,
Matt, and Zap.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
where every week we cover a true crime.
Murder.
Or compelling story.
So sit back.
Relax.
And comprehend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a excellent edition of Old Dirty Basement. With me always is Dave and Zap. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, guys. How you doing?
Good morning.
Yeah, all of those.
And you know, guys, this is cutting into my fantasy football prep time.
Oh,
Because this is Sunday morning. This is going to be fresh off the presses.
yeah, hot off the press.
Yeah, well, Sunday morning cast.
Sorry to put you to work.
No, I that's how much I love this. So we're talking about a 15-hour turnaround, and it's going to be fresh out at midnight.
Yeah, man.
So tonight
at midnight.
How do you do that?
It's going to be hot off the vocals.
Hot off the vocals. But this is Zap's pick this week, and this story was crazy, man. I don't know how I missed this in the news at the time.
Yeah, dude.
When it came out.
Yeah.
Matt, did you know about it?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it. I remember, but it's nothing I took super notice to. It was something I've heard of, but yeah, it's a very interesting, compelling story like we do here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My wife actually brought this one to my attention probably a year or so ago, maybe a little more. I think it was when, well, okay, so to bring everybody up to speed here, we're talking about Elizabeth Holmes, who was the founder and CEO of Theranos.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, when you sent the text, like we're covering Theranos, I thought it was like a Greek dude or something.
I was thinking
Like a business owner.
It comes off like a Marvel.
Yes, a Marvel hero.
Yeah. I was looking at it when I went to look it up. I was expecting an individual named Theranos, last name. That's what I originally thought.
Right.
I thought it was like a Greek restaurant in Harrisburg. Like,
Yeah,
have you ever
right.
ate at Theranos? I was like, no, they got a great hero.
The Greeks had it right, man. They like, you have Cher or Sting or Madonna. Look, these people were doing it, thousands of years after the fact. The Greeks did it first, just one name.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Which is Socrates, Theranos,
Yep.
you name it.
Stamos.
There it is. So yeah, man. When it comes to these, our true crimes or our compelling stories, I more often than not will gravitate to a financial crime or some kind of fraud or something like that. Just because, for me, it blows my mind when these things happen. And for damn sure, this one was, one of the biggest. This reminds me of that. The guy that did the Z Best carpet.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
I remember that guy. I can't think of the name either.
The guy had literally no product, nothing. He was offering nothing. It was all smoke and mirrors, and that's exactly what Elizabeth Holmes did with Theranos.
Yeah, and this is also like a lady true crime, which we hit on every so often. But
This is an inclusive environment.
Yes,
That's right.
We are here for we do not discriminate. Even the ladies can commit crimes.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, Miss Holmes is a crime committer.
Well, speaking of Holmes there, Sherlock, why don't we get into...
Nice, I like that.
I like what you did there.
Yeah.
Let's get into Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. So, quickly, on her background, she was born on February 3rd, 1984 in Washington, D.C.
A young buck.
Dude, 84.
Wow.
Right? So,
It's like last year.
dude,
Yeah,
fun
right.
fact, we just celebrated our 30-year high school reunion.
Yes.
Yes.
we
So,
did.
so if we were born in like 76, let's just say, so this chick was 8 years after us and did an incredible amount of stuff and is now doing whatever she's doing. But damn, it just really ages you.
Also,
it
a hell of a
does.
good album. 1984.
Yeah, Van Halen.
indeed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Incredible album. Also a good book
Oh, yes.
and good movie
And yeah.
and good night.
This is amazing. Wow. 1984.
It's
Who
all
knew?
coming together, man.
Who
It's all coming
knew?
together. So her and her family moved a lot of times when she was growing up. She didn't have many friends. She was oftentimes just left to herself and her imagination.
Sounds like a lot like me growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Did you move a lot?
No, but I didn't have any friends.
I was going to
No
say,
friends.
get the, yeah, I
had your
don't believe that for a
imagination.
second.
Yes.
I had read, in some of this, in the prep for this, like she had her friends were books. Or again, like her friends were, again, her imagination. Like I'm not saying that she had an imaginary friend.
Right.
But instead, she just had a lot of time to herself to just, expand and just go off and do whatever she wanted to do. Now, this is a smart kid.
Yeah, that's especially reading that much. Her she let so kids that read at that age a lot usually grow up to be very well read,
Spend a lot of time
well spoken,
doing that,
smart.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You learn a lot.
I watched a lot of TV, as you can see. So.
Oh my God, yeah.
The old boob tube.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'll get into conversations with whomever, and I'll pull out some kind of old reference. I mean, an old quote or old something or an old commercial. Like a great example is the PSA, the hankering for a hunk of cheese,
I don't
time for
remember that.
timer.
I don't remember that one.
Come on, hanker for a hunk of cheese.
No, the more you know, that one.
I know the
No.
more you know.
This was a cartoon that it would be on Saturday mornings. You would see this PSA between cartoons, or again, like in commercials. And it's this guy. It was to encourage kids to have a snack, like a cheese and cracker snack. Like instead of eating candy or doing whatever,
With
you
some cheese.
have some cheese and crackers.
No, I don't remember that one.
Time for timer.
I'm gonna look it up though.
Yeah, look
I remember,
for
like, G.I.
hankering for
Joe.
a hunk of cheese.
G.I. Joe public service announcements are always fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The more you know. Actually, getting together with you guys with these podcasts, I realized that I did watch a lot of TV.
Shit, yeah.
Especially
Oh my
like
God, yeah.
with John, like some of the references we make towards you have like a memory like me when you see these things growing up. Like they just stored somewhere in my head. But
Steel Trap.
yeah, but it's funny like how much TV the three of us actually did watch.
We've talked about this
Growing
before.
up.
We've certainly talked about this before. So
Yeah.
as the longer we get in the tooth, like the more we forget. I like to think of it as basically, until one got into I don't know, let's say high school, right? I can remember almost the entirety of my childhood with fondness and great memory and all of that good stuff. But once you get into high school, you start going to beer parties. You start smoking the reefer.
Your memories.
All of a sudden, things get fuzzy.
That's like the 30th reunion. You're like, yeah, I went to high school. I know some of these people.
I'm pretty sure I went to high school. Yeah.
And then some of the people you run into are like, did we hang out in high school? They're like, yeah, I remember. And I was like, no, but yes, I kind of remember. And it's one of those things.
It's distorted a
But
bit.
it was fun. I think like for us, our 30th was a good time. And our school just won their third state championship.
Yeah.
First in class 5A.
Yeah.
Congrats, Bishop McDevitt.
Yeah, back in my day, it stopped at 4A. When did they add 5 and 6?
Well, no, our first one was 2A, I think. And then it went to 4. Yeah, 4A was the top when we were in high school.
Yeah.
But I think they got so many more schools, so many bigger schools with like thousands of kids.
They had to expand.
Eligible kids.
Yeah. Well, kids from like other states and other districts.
Such imagination,
Yeah.
such fondness.
Let's talk Elizabeth Holmes' imagination.
Oh, she did in fact have an imagination.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I know her dad traveled a lot. In 1993, this is when she is 9 years old. Her family made its way to Houston. Again, after all of this relocating and traveling, this is where her family's longest residence would be. They basically finally settled down in Houston. She ended up graduating high school in 2002. Over the summer, she took a trip to Beijing. And after that, she went on to Stanford in the fall. So
That's a
Tough
smart
school to
kid
get.
there.
It's
last
tough
time I
school to get
checked,
into.
yeah, Stanford's a pretty prestigious place.
Yeah. I actually checked out an audio book. I didn't have time to watch the documentary that you mentioned on HBO.
There's a couple, but yeah,
There's one on, and I guess Hulu, they had a movie, but there's a book, Hulu, called Bad Blood.
Yeah.
And it was a good book. I got through most of it, but there were some cool things about her, like her background,
Yeah.
like her family. Did you hear about the Fleischmann yeast?
So indeed,
Her family had money, didn't they?
Well, initially, yeah.
yeah, her family came from money. So her dad, just with the moving around and stuff. So her dad, named Christian, went by the handle of Christian. He was a fun fact. He was a VP at Enron.
Yes.
Of all things.
Yeah.
So where this story is going to end up going, it is not without its hilarity of coincidence that this guy was a VP at Enron of all places.
Foreshadow.
Yeah, indeed. So nowadays he's working at the U.S. Agency for International Development, which is basically that's whoever administers foreign aid.
Right. And then her other grandfather, he started he was a World War I vet. And he won, I forget what the award was. It wasn't Medal of Honor, but something along that. But he also went on to start like a zoo, like a real.
That's awesome.
No, but this guy was like an entrepreneur, and then he developed this island over in Hawaii that was like a resort area. That
So he like developed a resort.
yeah, but these guys like she came from like, genetically, like these people that she was related to, they were all business
that
people.
comes in with the smarts, and usually people that go south in the business area, they usually come from money and
right,
and they know the ins and outs, the inner workings of business.
You mentioned Dave, I think it was you who mentioned the Fleischman.
yes.
So that was her great grandfather on her dad's side. Dude was named Charles Louis Fleischman. He was the founder of Fleischman's Yeast Company. I promise you, you go to the grocery store still to this day, you're going to find Fleischman's
Yeah, you
yeast.
can grab a packet.
Yeah, we use it for pizza dough.
Yeah,
Hell
we
yeah.
use it also.
Yeah.
Man, hell yeah.
Put it in the old mixer there, and
Yeah. But here's a couple other things from her childhood I thought were interesting. So when she was 7, she designed a time machine and had like detailed drawings in this notebook, and she was very creative like that from a young age. And
was
then,
it shaped like a phone booth?
Was it shaped like a DeLorean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might have been. I didn't
Wow.
get details on that, but that would have been 84, so that would have been like 94. Those movies would have been out, so maybe she got the idea from that. But also, when she was 9 or 10, they said a relative asked her, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she told him, I want to be a billionaire.
Nice.
So from that young age, she had the drive to make money. And then also the relative followed up the question with, well, don't you want to be president? And she said, well, no, if I'm a billionaire, the president will marry me. Basically, like,
okay.
So she had that mindset already that like money kind of runs the world.
Hell yeah, it does.
And you talked about her parents and coming from money, but I think by the time her parents, what they ended up inheriting wasn't enough to be like, rich,
Correct.
wealthy. I would say rich, maybe well off, but not wealthy.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly weren't hurting, but they weren't, exactly like you
the kids
said.
going to Beijing. They're like, why don't you, here's some tickets to Beijing for graduation.
The kid was smart. I think she was over there like on studying and stuff
okay.
like that. But the parents, like growing up, she had the parents had a lot of resentment to like friends of theirs that were very wealthy that drove like Porsches and had money, and she noticed that from a young age, and I think that's why it drove her to I got to make money.
Yeah.
And then one other thing I wanted to cover, and this will foreshadow to her competitive edge.
Yep.
They said in the book there was a story. It was a cousin told it. They would play Monopoly, and she was so competitive, and when she would lose, she would run. She ran through the screen door. She was so upset and that she lost that she, you see in a cartoon when somebody runs through a wall.
Sure.
And there's like
Bugs Bunny.
The shape of their body remains
Right.
with the arms still sticking out. Right.
So something along those lines that pissed her off so much that she lost, that she ran through the screen door.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Monopoly is such a simple game. I actually have grown over the years very tired of playing Monopoly because it's so simple.
Well,
Now,
you make so many back deals though that the game doesn't end.
No.
And it lasts forever.
It's basically like playing war with cards.
Yeah.
Whoever has the high card. Ultimately, that's really what happens in Monopoly.
And if anybody has said that they never cheated in Monopoly, they are liars.
They're a liar.
Big liar.
So somebody had said I said that she went to Beijing over the summer.
Yes. Yeah.
That's in China. So when they had moved to Texas, her father had been spending 2 weeks per month in China. 2 weeks a month, dude.
See, that's a baller job.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's a big company job.
His job there was helping American companies invest in Chinese developments. So at the age of 9, this is, again, dad's going to China. I want to, miss my dad. I want to be able to talk with my dad. I want to do whatever with my dad. So at the age of 9, she took up Mandarin as a language.
Oh, wow. That's got to be a tough one.
She started learning Mandarin. So she later went on to take Mandarin at Stanford while still in high school. While in high school, she was taking Stanford-level Mandarin courses while in high school.
They make fantastic oranges.
They do.
They do.
Excellent.
So how could some high school kid get or have the ability to take collegiate level classes 1, 2 from Stanford? Now around here, you could do that at the community colleges. I know that happens. Like what
You can go to Hackwell and
That's
like
correct.
senior year.
High school, yeah.
You can absolutely do hack courses, maybe even Penn State courses.
Yeah, Penn State. Yeah, because they're around here.
While you're in high school. This one, however, Stanford, that's a bigger deal. So this chick, she kept over and over and over calling the admissions office for information like, how can I, despite being in high school, how can I take Mandarin? How can I take Mandarin? Over and over and over, like almost every day. And every time she was told that, look, we don't offer this shit to high school students. You got to get into Stanford to be able to take, Stanford courses. So the head of the program, the head of this Mandarin program, became so annoyed that one day she called up, and she would do it like clockwork, like every morning, 10 a.m., you name it. He ended up grabbing the phone from the secretary, the admin assistant, whoever that was talking to her, and said, basically in a fit of frustration, he gave Elizabeth the admissions test right there on the spot over the phone. He would ask questions in Mandarin, and she in turn she answered fluently, like it was like a fish to water.
Kind of like Wayne from Wayne's World.
Yeah.
He accepted her right on the spot.
Yeah, that's a skill there.
Wait, how would that be Wayne from Wayne's World?
Remember he learned Mandarin?
Oh shit!
Yeah, cream of some young guy.
Oh my god, how did I forget that? You're absolutely right.
It just popped in my head when you were speaking of it. Like she's like, oh, you learned Mandarin for me?
Was that cream of some young guy and all that?
Well, yeah, he like.
Ooh,
Remember that when he said
I do.
Yeah.
I like what you did there.
Was that his scene though in that part? I don't remember.
No, I
It's
remember
been a while.
I forget who the actress was.
Tia Carrera.
Yes, but like they went. He took her on a date or whatever, and he ordered in Mandarin.
Oh, that's
And
impressive.
she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I learned it for you.
If only.
Yeah, he was fluent though. It's great, just like Miss Holmes.
Yeah.
Just like Miss Holmes, who ended up completing 3 years of college Mandarin while still in high school.
That's impressive.
3 years of it. Thus, this is why she went to Beijing while she was the summer between high school and college. Now, fun fact. Now, also during that summer, this is now the summer of 2002. This is going to be very important. While in Beijing, China, she met a guy named Ramesh Sunny Balwani. Balwani.
What's
I'm just saying, I don't think he was born there.
No. So Sonny definitely was not born there. In fact, Sonny at the time was married, and he was 19 years, and still is 19 years older than Elizabeth.
Whoa.
He would that same year he would go on to divorce his wife later.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
I wonder why. All right. Well, anyway, now having made her way to Stanford, she majored in, of all things, chemical engineering. That's a smart person way to go, right? That's she's not majoring in art. She went on to chemical engineering. So by the end of her freshman year in 2003, she landed herself a job at Singapore's Genome Institute. Now, again, let's bring this all back together. She just finished her freshman year of college. She's now got a job overseas in China working in the Genome Institute.
Yeah, that's
I
impressive.
should say Singapore. That's pretty baller. So while she was there, her job was to test, patients for severe acute respiratory syndrome. At the time, commonly known as SARS. Testing was performed over there, and even over here at the time, the testing was performed in a traditional manner. Like you take big vials of blood out of somebody's arm, you do the swabs of mucus, but you would have so much sample data, again, a whole vial of blood, that you could, drop by drop, you could test it for this, you could test it for that. You could perform 100 different tests, but you needed so much blood in order to do that.
Did they put those in the spinny things?
Yeah,
Remember
the
you see that?
centrifuge.
Yeah, they always put them.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Do you guys remember SARS?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
You shouldn't mix it with what was it? Oh my gosh, what was the thing that remember, like we couldn't go anywhere?
We couldn't, for damn sure, we couldn't go to fucking China.
No, with the SARS, you can't mix it with what was the stuff we got shots for? Like everybody needs a shot.
Tuberculosis?
No.
I don't remember.
AIDS?
Oh no, COVID.
Oh, COVID.
Yeah, remember people with the SARS were dying with the COVID. You guys don't remember that?
So,
No, but this one's from like way back.
Matt, you're not far off. So when
Yeah.
you say the COVID, we all know with great fondness COVID-19. So COVID is whatever COVID is, but the 19, of course, is indicative of the year when it was discovered and when it came out. SARS was actually the COVID of 2003.
Yes,
So it's like,
yes, that's where. Yeah,
it's like
thank you for. Yeah, it was in my mind. I didn't know how to explain it. Sorry about that.
No, you nailed
Yeah,
it. I mean, it was the 2003 version of COVID-19. It was just 16 years earlier.
So is 19 like the version, like Fast and the Furious? Like, how there's so many of them.
Correct.
There's like, that's the 19th one. Is
Yes,
that basically what
it's
okay.
part 19, and that is to
Gotcha.
say the year in which it came out.
Gotcha.
The SARS, for anyone who doesn't remember, the indicators were the symptoms were you had muscle pain, headache, fever, cough, difficulty breathing, and ultimately pneumonia. In fact, with SARS, there was a 9% average mortality rate across all the age brackets.
Damn.
It hit the old folks the worst.
Yeah, usually. Yep.
But yeah, across all ages, on average, basically 1 out of 10 people would die from SARS.
And remember, we were all made of SARS.
That's right. We are all SARS. Okay. You are my moon and stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're my moon and stars. During her freshman year at Stanford, Elizabeth had been exploring what at the time was an emerging technology that has since become known as it's called lab on a chip. And this is basically, it allows for multiple tests from very tiny amounts of liquid on a single microchip. So I was talking earlier about you'd have to take vials and vials of blood. Like when you go to get blood work done at your doctor, like annually, they'll do your blood work. They'll take a vial of that shit, maybe even 2. Mm-hmm. At the time, there was this emergent technology, this lab on a chip, where onto a microchip, you could just drop a drop and it would do a lot of the testing right there. Or I should say it would do a lot of the testing with a lesser amount of quantity. So as for example, we see people that have like diabetics, right? They have these patches that are consistently now on their arm.
Taking samples.
Always monitoring, always knowing. And that's now what it'll inject the insulin based on the blood level. Like it's essentially almost an automatic type thing.
Yeah, your glucose drops and goes up, and it just monitors it.
That's
Makes
right.
Sense. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Do you know that this all started because of her fear of needles? Like she hated needles.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then she had mentioned when she was over in was that Singapore? You said
Mm-hmm.
To a couple of her colleagues over there. I don't even say colleagues; they were professors and different people she was working with. Like, hey, I have this idea, and they all told her like that's not going to work. Like, and she still didn't care. She's like, I want to pursue this, but they kind of told her like,
what you're talking about is some fairy tale shit.
yeah, like the technology's not there.
You might as well draw that with your time machine.
Mm-hmm. But she hated needles, and she figured, let me come up, because they were doing that SARS testing, like you mentioned, with all the vials of blood.
Yep.
And she was like, there's got to be a way to like streamline this.
Not just streamlined it. She wanted to, knowing that this lab on a chip technology was emerging and it's coming out, and knowing all of the work that she had seen done over in Singapore, things started clicking into place for her. She wanted to basically create this a one-stop shop that not only performed the test and not only have the dosage of the drug delivery that was available that was based on the patient's blood, but she also wanted to have the results automatically sent to the patient's doctor, like wirelessly.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're wearing a phone.
Right. And this is all before like cell phones and like the phones as we
Before
know.
Apple Health and before all of that other
You're
bullshit.
not linking the chip to your phone
Right.
at this time.
She wanted to create, again, that one-stop shop, basically just enable an incredible amount of efficiency that, Dave, as you had aptly mentioned, that her colleagues or her professors were saying, lady, it's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
What you're saying is it is impossible.
Right. And this is 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
maybe now we're at the point.
We're getting there, I'm
we're
sure.
getting there, but yeah.
But even now, I don't think we have it.
No, there's we'll get to it later.
Indeed. So before she returned for her sophomore year, which would have been in the fall of 2003, she filed a patent for her idea. And conveniently, also in late 2003, she became romantically linked with that Sonny Balwani guy.
Yeah, he had the Riz.
Yeah.
19 years, bruh. Come on, man. A little creepy. In March of her sophomore year, so she's now in her sophomore year, this is now 2004. She's almost finished. She dropped out and started her company, Theranos, which is one of my favorite words, a portmanteau of therapy and diagnosis.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Which makes sense. It's all right. It's that one-stop shop. You're getting the therapy, the diagnosis, all in one, quickly, simply, easily, just one, and with just a very little amount of blood.
Yeah, I found out here too. She had named the company before that. It's called Real Time Cures.
Oh,
that was the name before.
That's a button, or that's a push in the envelope.
Yeah, and there was some, and they decided the cures part of it was that might be a little too aggressive to say, like, because
correct.
So
don't go promising cures, man.
Yeah,
Can't
and
say
there was some kind of mess up too when they initially sent out like stationery and different things. I forget what it was that they had printed up. That it said real time curses. They spelled it wrong on all their initial paperwork.
No, you don't want that.
Yeah. There was something paperwork or stationery. I forget what it was.
So instead of real-time curses, it was real-time curses.
Curses, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Get your blood taken, you get a free voodoo doll.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, so while at Stanford, there's this dude. His name is Channing Robertson. He was the dean of Stanford School. I don't know if it's chemical engineering, but it's definitely something with the sciences. Could have been a dean, like some sort of science. Now, again, this is one of her mentors while at Stanford. So having already become friendly with him by the time she dropped out, she ended up persuading him to spend 1 day a week as a technical advisor to the company, and ultimately to serve as one of its board members. Fun fact: that Robertson dude, that Channing, would go on to retire from his tenured position at Stanford. He believed in this so much, and he went to work for Theranos full time.
Yeah, there was a lot of that I saw in this story, like people leaving and leaving companies, and I have one later I'll talk about, but it was amazing. Like, she was very well spoken with this company, and people believed in what she had going on.
I think she was, and we will see this over and over and over, she was really good at selling the dream. I mean, she had a vision, and she, again, she believed in it so desperately and so profoundly that it was reality to her.
She was also
reality.
probably offering, like, talking to these people with like these paychecks, like, you can make this to start this year, and then this is our vision for 3 years down the road. These guys like, oh hell, we're gonna be making bank.
And did you guys hear her talk? Like, her speak?
She's got a.
I was gonna say,
she's a man, Maury.
Dude, she got a voice like you, Matt, and I'm not even kidding. Like, it's that
Come
deep.
join my company.
I mean, did you
Got
not?
a voice like you, man.
She does. She sounds like,
Dude,
She has such a Matt voice.
I saw a couple of clips or whatever. And I'm sorry, I tried to watch that thing on HBO. I ended up falling asleep because I just didn't care enough.
right.
I should say, to be clear, I had already done so much of my research that, as you guys well know, I try to avoid the Netflixes and the HBO stuff because I think there's always a bias or a slant.
Right.
So
Yes.
having watched a little bit of it, yeah, dude, that's a man, Maury.
Maybe she had a lot of male hormone. What is that? A lot of testosterone. She was high T.
Well, there was questions of whether it was put on too, like if she was doing it for, I don't know, to sound
More assertive.
assertive, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you're in a room with.
It's a man's world.
But yeah, it was like Herman Munster. Or, you know what I mean? Like, just like like I can't even
It's
do
like
it.
it's like listening to Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
No, it's not. But that would have been amazing if it was. So, Matt, it's incredible. It is with its great coincidence that you mentioned about people getting paid. So, what was good about having this Robertson guy, this Channing, he had a lot of connections with venture capitalists, and you're going to have that at Stanford, like Stanford, Harvard, any of the Ivy Leagues. Like these are basically
Breeding grounds for like
what's that thing? Incubators.
incubators. Yeah.
They're basically incubators. Like the biggest and the brightest and the best are coming out of there. So there's
Stanford's basically a public Ivy. I think they would consider that.
Sure, but it's, nonetheless,
I see what you're saying. They're involved with a lot of money.
Sure. So people are coming out of there with their great ideas, ways to help humanity, or just make the biggest amount of money doing something. There are a lot of people out there with a lot of money that want to invest in that early on, and be a part of that. So again, this Channing Robertson dude. I'm sorry. Every time I say Channing, I got it.
Tatum.
Correct. Correct.
Like Magic Mike.
I thought he was like the only one in the world named Channing. Was Tatum?
No, I guess not.
Clearly not.
Isn't that song that they're like, white boy wasted Channing Tatum?
What song is that?
I don't know. It's
White boy wasted.
it's I don't know. It's on I don't know. My kid listens to it.
Some artist out of Stanford.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So this Robertson dude again knew a lot of venture capitalists, and so he started introducing Elizabeth to these venture capitalists, and it was basically she was again not only was she selling the dream, but she was also selling a promise. The promise was, look, any would-be profits of this company as we go along, until we're really mega huge, I'm going to reinvest all of that into the company to grow the company. And by the end of that year, so she dropped out in March of 2004 and started that company. By the end of that year, by December of 2004. She'd raised $6 million in startup money.
Damn.
Like, that's pretty good, man.
That's big money.
It kept her going. And it kept the ability for her to, develop and start up this company and do whatever it would do for her and Sonny.
Big money, but it gets better.
It does get better.
Bigger money.
In 2005, Elizabeth and Sonny moved in together. Scandalous. In 2009, 4 years later, Sonny was named the chief operating officer at Theranos.
That's ridiculous.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm sure he earned it.
He did.
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he did.
So, Dave, you mentioned about it would get bigger. By the end of 2010, Theranos would go on to raise more than $92 million in venture capital. And they were already doing clinical trial tests at its labs for Pfizer and GlaxoSmithKline.
Yeah, once you get them Pfizer contracts, man.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
That's big.
That's
With $92 million as that venture capital, the company had a valuation of more than $1 billion. The car doors go like this.
And you were talking about all the great companies that come out of Stanford. Like one, for instance, is Google. Like Google.
Oh shit, that's right.
Started on the campus of Stanford.
Yeah,
and they're one of many. Did Facebook, I believe, as well?
Facebook was out of Harvard.
Out of Harvard. Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah, Google, for instance.
Same concept though. It's everything we just talked about.
really, really smart kids just hanging out.
Yeah,
coming up with
dude.
shit.
Like for damn sure. Like why didn't? Thanks for nothing, McDevitt.
Right. And Google is funny. I just said it in my phone.
I wasn't even that good at football, McDevitt.
I know, right? My phone just woke up.
Because you said Google.
Because I said Google, and just to show how much that company,
Oh, is that why you looked startled there for a second?
Yeah, I was like, oh,
okay,
shit,
I got you. I got you.
And talking about football in Stanford, shout out John Ritchie, local boy around here,
Cumberland Valley.
great football player and a smart, very smart guy.
Smart guy.
Ended up
He
at
went to Stanford. Yeah.
Yes, and a great guy, man. I saw him at we're actually friends on Facebook. Sent him a friend request and he accepted it.
Yep.
So I'm friends with a famous guy, but we saw him over at the farmer's market on the West Shore.
Oh, nice.
And my son had an Eagles jersey on. This is like 10, 12 years ago. He was like 6 years old. And I was like, that guy over there played for the Eagles. And he was sitting like across from us. And
He's hard to miss.
he is a big dude, but he sat down. My son went over. We talked to him. He was like super nice, just like a great guy, real nice guy. John Ritchie.
Shout out to John
Yes,
Ritchie.
thanks. Thank you, John Ritchie.
He does a podcast, doesn't he?
I'm sure he does with sports, and I know he's on the rate. He was on Sirius, I think, at one point.
That's it.
Yeah, I think everyone who's ever retired from any sport now has a podcast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's what we're competing with.
Ross Tucker, another
Yeah.
local guy. He has one I listen to. I've heard John Ritchie like on Sirius. So
I remember when John Ritchie ran me the fuck over on the football field.
Yeah, we all did
A couple of times.
I think we were all.
I think we all have that story. We all made that tackle.
Yeah,
It took all three of us to bring him down.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, I know it was on special teams, so there was a possibility.
Well,
I
it
was in
definitely
there.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So, all right. So we got this chick, right? So Elizabeth, the first thing that clicked was, all right, I need venture capital. How do I get that? I got to sell the dream and I got to meet the venture capitalists. Check with Channing Robertson. Next, it hits her. She needs an impeccable board for this company. I mean, she needs a board that has just a great amount of credibility, a huge swath of other connections to get more venture money. And again, you get a good board, a respectable, reputable board. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, not just a 2x4 for this one.
Correct.
This is a big board.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you're not getting your Aunt Tessie or your whomever to be on this board just because they might know something. No, for a board, you're getting people with connections. So in July of 2011, Elizabeth was introduced to George Schultz. You guys remember this guy?
Peanuts.
Yeah, just like him. That's Charles Schultz.
Ah, okay.
So he was the former Secretary of State under Ronald Reagan. In fact, prior to that, he was the Secretary of Treasury and the Director of OMB and the Secretary of Labor under Nixon.
This guy knows the way of the world almost.
Yeah,
He's pretty smart guy.
I just remember being a kid. We talk about what we were talking about earlier about you have this the first X number of years of your life you can remember with a good amount of clarity. I remember watching the national news with my parents. And
every night
at 6:30 was the national, Tom Brokaw, whatever.
Yeah, we didn't have many stations back then, so that's pretty much on, and you couldn't touch the TV.
Hell
the one
no.
TV you had because your parents were watching the news.
Hell no, but I just remember over and over and over again, like every other day, somebody would say Secretary of State George Schultz. Yeah. Secretary of State George Schultz. Like, yeah, it's just a name you just don't forget, and certainly not so much so that this lady, look, man, I want a guy like that on my board. This guy has seen a lot. I mean, the man came out looking, I don't want to say like a hero, but he came out unscathed from all of the Nixon shit that went down. Watergate, you name it. The tapes, He came out Teflon.
Teflon George.
How old was Schultz at this time? So she got it. I mean, he was probably in his 70s, right?
70s, if not 80s.
It's not 80s. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn. So he became one of Theranos' first outside board members and would go on to help. Again, you get that name appeal. It's like when we did the review of sneakers. You get Robert Redford on board, we can put anybody on this cab. He will pull people in. Same thing. You get former Secretary of State George Shultz on this board, you're going to get a lot of other good people on this board. This guy ended up helping to go on to recruit a stellar list of board members with impeccable corporate, military, and diplomatic backgrounds, including former chairman and CEO of Wells Fargo, Richard Kovacevic.
Wasn't he the bassist for Nirvana?
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
That's right. What was his first name?
Chris Novoselic.
Chris Novoselic.
Yeah,
That's it.
Close.
Dang.
So former Bechtel Group chairman and CEO, Riley Bechtel. His own namesake. Former U.S. Bechtel Group is another engineering. It's engineering, construction, you name it. All that good stuff. Former U.S. Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger.
Yeah, it's a big name.
Yeah.
We all know him.
I mean, dude, he's not American. He was born in, I think, Germany.
Kissinger was, yeah.
The Germans. God, listening to him talk, Christ, you give it 10 seconds, you're asleep. You're absolutely asleep. Monotone, just whatever. It's like listening to our podcast.
Yeah, right.
You had former U.S. Secretary of Defense, William Perry, who
A
served.
refrigerator, yeah.
That's right. William Perry. Not only played for the Chicago Bears, but also the Secretary of Defense under President Clinton. Former U.S. Senator from Georgia, Sam Nunn. Former U.S. Senator from Tennessee, Bill Frist. Retired Navy Admiral Gary Roughhead.
That's not good.
Hi-yo.
Imagine going through the Navy with that last name. Good Lord.
Man, I'm not bunking with him.
Yeah, right.
And
He must have had braces.
use some soap.
Zed braces. Yeah.
Retired Marine General Jim Mattis, who would later go on to serve as a Secretary of Defense under Trump.
Yeah.
Trump's first
Was
term,
that
of
Mad
course.
Dog Mattis or whatever they called him?
Yeah.
Or- Yep.
Yep. So with this miraculous board now in place, you do this with purpose, right? So now you have the retail and commercial collaborations are going to fall into place right after. In 2012, a deal was struck with Safeway supermarkets to outfit 800 of its locations with in-store Theranos blood tests. 800, that's a big fucking
That's
risk.
huge, yeah.
In 2013, a deal was struck with Walgreens to begin a pilot blood testing program at 40 of its locations.
Yeah, you better have your shit together at this point.
This
You
is,
know what I'm saying,
I mean,
with
you're selling. Like, you're absolutely selling. You're going to these places and you're like, look, man, we got this tech. We can make it do anything you want. We'll shape the box any way you want to do it. And that's really what this was. It was this magic box. Like, they were going to all of these presentations to the Walgreens of the world, the Safeways of the world, the GlaxoSmithKlines of the world, the Pfizers. They were saying, look, we've got this tech and we've got this magic box and we use these little, all it takes is a little right off of the finger prick of blood. And we can do all this crazy shit with it because we have this magic box.
Do you think it was as much the tech and the magic box, or was it the connections
The
that
team
you just
around them,
mentioned?
yeah.
These, you know what I'm saying? You mentioned it. She had a baller cast behind her on this
Yeah.
board. So all the connections they made throughout their time in politics, which, you know, people say, oh, it's all about politics. I mean, the connections that they had, well, they were loving this.
And they could have pushed shit through for her probably. Like,
Yep.
we can get approval.
Yeah,
here,
you don't
get approval
need that thing here. We'll just get rid of that there for you. We'll just push this through.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, but at the end of it all, these companies, the GSKs, the Pfizers, the Walgreens, the Safeways, you name it, these people need to be, they need to have some kind of product. It's one thing to say, hey man, I got this great board and I'm smart. You need to buy my product. Like nobody in a for-profit world is going to say, okay, that sounds good. Just, you know what, since you have George Shultz on your board, you don't even need to show us what the product looks like. We'll just say, yeah, we'll fucking buy it.
I think we're saying like they had the product, but these names, like with the connections they had, they can push this product through
100%.
a lot quicker.
That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
It boosted her and the company's credibility.
Well, look at the recently with the crypto. It was like Tom Brady. A couple of people backed it, and they're like, "Well, if Brady's backing it, and this
There it
other
is.
name's backing it, it must be legit. Like
Yeah,
it
we're
can't
in.
be fake." So if you get the right people involved, I mean, look at it with Shark Tank. Like if they would have took this on Shark Tank,
Oh my God.
and those Mark Cuban and all them would have got behind it. Like they get this shit pushed through, and you'll end up in Walmarts and all kinds of stores if you have the product.
CVS in no time.
Yeah.
So again, all of this while, this woman is selling this product, selling the dream, selling the thing. We've got this thing. It's amazing. You can't believe what this thing does. We'll show you. It's revolutionary. With those deals in place by early 2014, Theranos had raised more than $700 million in venture capital and private investments. So by now, the venture capital got her the deals with the venture capital, and the stellar board got her the deals with the Safeways and the Walgreens and the GSKs and the Pfizers. Now she's got outside people that are seeing this thing growing, and it's like the second round of investing. When you've got the people that see this and know these board members include the Cox family, which is a Cox Media Group. They invested $100 million. Rupert Murdoch invested $121 million of his own dollars. The Walton family, that's Walmart, they invested $150 million by early 2014. After all that investment, Theranos' valuation had risen to $10 billion. Cardos go like this.
So going back to what you said, 2004, it was $6 million they started with, and now we're at $700 million. That's the investment money, right?
That's the cash in. Yep.
And their valuation now from $92 million. Or was the $92 million the venture capital?
So,
is that
yep. So I'm with you. So they had raised by the end of 06, or I'm sorry, by the end of 2010, they had raised $92 million.
Okay.
With that $92 million, that gave their company a valuation of $1 billion.
So $1 billion, and we're now at $10 billion.
10 billion.
Just 3 years and change later, the value is now at $10 billion. And they had raised, the raising had gone from $92 million to $700 million.
That's crazy.
You see the Walton family involved in that. I don't think people realize how much money the Walton family has.
Well, it's just funny.
Like the investments that they must have.
Look, there's the shit that we might see like with Forbes valuations and stuff, like the
yeah.
richest people. Look, they got a lot of shit that people don't know about.
Exactly.
Right.
110%.
Dang.
And it's one of the Waltons just snuck up. They own owners of the Broncos. One of the daughters, I think they just gave it to her. They're like, here, you can take this team. Go have fun with it.
It reminds me of a Simpsons episode.
Yeah. All right.
So does anybody remember that Simpsons episode?
No, I never
where
really
they bought the
watched-
Broncos?
I didn't really watch The Simpsons like that. I've seen episodes, but fill me in on that.
So I forget the guy's name. It wasn't Homer got to work for this guy. I can't remember his name, but Homer, his whole life changed. His whole life completely changed. Like he moved to a whole different town with this posh house. Marge developed a drinking habit because she had nothing to do.
Nothing to do all day. Yeah.
Robots were cleaning her house. Again, beautiful house, beautiful town. It's in the hammock district. That's I need a hammock.
I need a hammock. Okay.
This is later episode? Like,
No, this is one of the earlier ones.
okay.
Anyway, it turns out that this guy, damn if I can't remember his name, was a spy. He was just absolutely this international. He was like the Dr. Evil
Oh, wow.
of the Simpsons world. Anyway, at the end of it all, Homer, the guy was really thankful that Homer had helped him out as much as he did. So he bought for him the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit.
But he's like, "Dole."
Yeah, Matt, I mean, help me out here. This is at a time when the Broncos,
The Broncos were very good.
they had either made it and lost it a couple of times, or they just weren't making it anywhere. I can't remember.
Yeah, not like this year. They're looking good.
Yeah, they're looking pretty decent this year. I think it was towards one of their downward movements. Or no, the Broncos always would come close. They're like one of them teams, but they never made it at the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
so this is back like always
early on.
Before 97, 98.
Yeah,
I
97,
got you.
90 when it went back to back.
But also I brought up earlier like people that were connected with this company that got them to this point. Like
Sure.
she was so good at recruiting people, like you showed here with the people that are involved. But there was
This board was insane.
the board was insane, but the people working for her that she recruited, she was very big on Apple. Like she loved Apple and Steve Jobs, and that was a big influence of how she dressed even. And
You're saying
how
like she wanted to emulate
Steve Jobs.
Dressed like a man.
She
No wonder she sounds like a goddamn man.
well, she had brought over an employee for an interview from Apple. That was this girl. I think her name was Anna, and she was in charge of the development of the iPhone, the chief design officer of the iPhone, I think.
Oh.
Or for Apple on the iPhone. And she brought her in and was like, hey, I have this company, and kind of gave her the pitch. And the girl was like, I don't really want to leave Apple. I have 15,000 shares of Apple stock that I'll lose if I leave. And she's like, well, I want to bring my partner along. You talk to her, and if we can come together to a decision to do this, I'll do it. And sure enough, Elizabeth was able to woo her partner and say, go ahead and do it. Leave Apple. And I agree with this. And she left Apple and left 15,000 shares of stock behind at Apple to go start for this startup. And this is at the time the iPhone 1 had just came out, you know what I mean? And Apple was doing really well.
Yeah.
So for her, and that's just like one person that she was able to lure over. So she was very good at that. And just think about what that stock would be worth today. I'm sure that girl's still well off. She's a very intelligent, smart person. I'm sure she's working for some other company.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show.
She might be retired by now.
I mean, she might be. Yeah. But I just thought that was amazing how good she was at that.
She's good at convincing people. Again, it's that idea we've talked about before. It's that selling the dream. It's selling the idea. It's like, look, this is it's amazing that you bring up the Steve Jobs thing. I mean, that's all Steve Jobs ever did. Like he would say, hey man, I have this product, I want this product. This is what I want to see happen. Like I want to see, instead of walking around with a Walkman and a disc and carrying all these other tapes and CDs and bullshit, fuck that. I want all of that digitally on a little USB drive, on a little chip, and I want to be able to scroll through 100 songs all at once.
Yeah, like to have that vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I want to make that happen, and I want it in the smallest device possible.
Who was the man they busted a few years back on the big Ponzi scheme? He was the hedge fund manager.
Bernie Madoff?
Madoff,
yeah, but he did the same thing. Like he had no money, but anytime he'd be like, you know what, I'm dropping you as a client. Like I don't want your money anymore. Your money's no good. And the guy's like, no. Here, take another $2 million.
He threatened them, and they
he'd like threaten them, but he was so good, like just bullshitting people.
Yeah.
That he threatened him. He's like, all right, fine, I'll give you all your money back. I don't need it. And they're like, no.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
That's what the motto is out there in Silicon Valley. But the other thing is in Silicon Valley, you're dealing with apps and things that are like, oh, if Spotify's not working, it's not a huge deal. But this is medical. Like this is your life and your health. And they're developing this stuff. So it better work. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we will find out. So news of this, we've mentioned the Safeway and the Walgreens deals, of course. Something like this now is going to make national headlines, which is interesting because until now, Theranos had operated like way, way, way under the radar with little to almost no media attention. I mean, you would see maybe something here, some blurb there, if you're lucky, maybe in a shareholder report, but otherwise these guys just kept it quiet, absolutely kept it quiet. And that was with purpose, absolutely with purpose. These guys, Theranos, operated in what's called a regulatory gray area. So in the CPA world or accountant world, you have, black or white. Everything's black or white. Well, in this case, things were kind of gray, like so many other regulations. Like you talk to, you just talk to any attorney. Talk to JW.
Yeah.
Well, it depends is going to be the answer. It depends. So how Theranos operated in a gray area. So they offered diagnostic services using their own patented diagnostic products, or their own machines. Now, diagnostic service providers who don't have their own devices have to purchase, obviously, devices from other manufacturers. So like a diagnostic service provider, I know they're the biggest one, I think, is like Quest Medical. There's another one, LabCorp.
Yeah.
So there's two service providers, but they don't make the equipment. They buy their equipment from other manufacturers, like Siemens is one. There's a couple of them out there, but there's only a select couple, right? Because this is a really big fucking deal to get the approvals and stuff. And so with that, in order for other device manufacturers to sell their devices, again, they're not performing the test; they're just selling their devices. Those devices have to be rigorously tested and approved by the FDA. But again, Theranos manufactured their own devices for their own diagnostic work. As long as they didn't attempt to sell their devices or move their equipment out of the labs, they did not need FDA approval.
That's some shady shit.
That's a really big fucking deal. And I kind of believe it that was done with purpose. Like, it wasn't just, oh, hey, what a convenience.
Yeah.
Well, this is decidedly convenient that we don't need FDA approval for this because we're just, you know what? I liken it to, Matt, you mentioned it earlier about her having high tea. I liken this a lot to all of the, and there are a lot of the low testosterone commercials.
Oh, yeah.
Or the substitutes for Viagra or whatever kind of pills out there, like Blue Chew, like you name it. These people don't need to go through FDA approval because they're not looking to they're not saying that it cures anything. They're not saying that it does anything else. They're not using anybody else to manufacture it, and they're not doing anything else with it. They're just
like a magic bean.
Correct.
Yeah.
All they're doing is selling vitamins. That's it.
Right.
This is the Theranos situation is not dissimilar to the extent of we're not selling it to a third party that is going to make claims that it's going to that it's operating in their fashion, but like the way that, like, let's say an FDA approved fashion. We simply have this product with this breakthrough technology. It's our machine. It's our system of delivery. We don't need FDA approval, which is absolutely true. I think there's a level of classes involved in that with FDA. Like, there's a class 1, class 2, or class 3 approval in the FDA world. I don't know. I'm no scientist. I might have to talk to Shaibi about that.
If you go to any CVS or anything like that, you look on none of those pills or whatever you get at like a CVS store, unless you go back into the pharmacy section, are like FDA approved. It's all just stuff that you're like, but you don't ever see them advertise that. You don't think about that. Like, this must meet FDA approval.
Correct.
Saw palmetto.
Yeah,
that's right.
Some fish oil.
That's right. Exactly. It's like the shit vitamins you can buy, or the not shit vitamins. I can't say. Some of them are
supplements.
Some of them are shit. Some of them are good. It's supplements. Like, it's essentially going to a GNC versus a pharmacy.
Right. That big muscle head back there. Hey, you got this new creatine.
You got creatine.
Or like the kids now are
vanilla
like
flavor,
honey sticks or whatever. Did you guys see that? Like that honey.
Yeah, they have them at the front counter.
By the end of 2014, Theranos employed nearly 800 people.
Good job, Theranos.
Dude, they maintained their corporate. That's good, man.
Yeah, that's good for them. Good on you.
Including, I'm guessing, that chick from Apple.
Yes, she's one of them.
Forwent her 15,000 shares.
Yeah, the baller board, and they probably got some smart people working underneath them there.
I gotta believe it. It's all labs all day. They maintained their corporate offices, fun fact, in Facebook's former headquarters in Palo Alto, California. And they occupied a 265,000 square foot manufacturing facility in Newark, California.
Where's Newark?
I saw that too. I had no idea.
It's like carjack capital.
Yeah, that's Newark, New Jersey. Yeah.
265,000. That's like, well, probably 1,500 of my houses, or is my math right on that? You know what I'm saying?
It's 15 million of your homes.
You might be right, dude.
No, I was at 150.
265,000.
Let's just say my house is around 2,000 square feet.
Well, you look at some, like, mansions are like 6,000 to like 12,000 square feet.
Right.
It'd be 100 of your house.
100
That's
houses. Our neighborhood.
Like 130 of your house.
That's our neighborhood almost.
But it looks like they're like in Palo Alto or this place, Newark, California. It looks like they're finding these places they can build these huge warehouses for nothing.
Yeah, and fun fact on Palo Alto, I didn't know that, but there's like two parts of it. There's like a shady ass part,
really,
and then like the nicer part. And
I never crossed the tracks.
Yeah, at one point, I guess their offices were in like a shady part.
So it's like gangster rap Palo Alto, and then there's just like regular Palo Alto.
But there was a day that she went to work and her window got shot out. Somebody shot at her, I guess.
Jesus.
On the way to work. That's how rough it was. Yeah, so that's pretty gangster.
Yeah, that's gangster.
So when she moved up in the world, I'm assuming this Facebook was in the nice part.
What if she had like a 64 Impala?
Yeah, with hydraulics.
With like hydraulics.
She's rolling her 6'4".
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Fun fact, they did say one of the employees, she would pull up to work blasting rap, gangster rap and shit. She was way into like hip hop, which I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a foreshadow.
It might be. It might be.
What all my home is saying. Before we move on, what was the track that had blast a shot?
That was Ice Cube, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hit our heads ringing.
That's it.
Oh, that was Dre.
Ding, ding dong. Yeah.
Ding-a-ling,
Ding ding dong. Keep the heads ringing.
There it is. There it is. Okay, gangster rap.
Yeah.
In early 2015, Elizabeth Holmes, again, now they were under the radar for a long time. Let's not forget, but time goes by. In early 2015, Elizabeth Holmes was named the world's youngest self-made female billionaire by Forbes magazine. At the time, having a net worth of $4.5 billion.
So yeah, being in the pages of Forbes as like somebody that's huge.
Yeah.
That's big baller.
Trace Camus.
Trace Camus, that's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. Best, was that tequila or vodka?
I forget the drink, but that was
the tequila.
Russ Hanneman's drink.
Russ Hanneman.
Tequila, I think, right?
Yeah.
Cardos go like this.
That's right.
Dude, there's a clip from that show that is just the best. When he's driving around a car that has normal hinges, and he's just laying into Richard like, "This is what you did to me. I'm driving a car like this. I'm only a hundreds of millionaire. I'm not a billionaire anymore."
He dropped to like 996 million or whatever it was.
Oh, Trace Camus.
Yeah, he was pissed.
So this woman, I mean, out of nowhere, this company had been, flying under the radar. She became this instant sensation in the business world, medical device world, all of it, out of just nowhere.
Yes, it was quick.
And she's on magazine after magazine. She's doing interview after interview. Like once she got that Forbes magazine press, it was just, she became basically the next Steve Jobs.
Oh, yeah,
everybody wanted to talk to her.
Yeah. And she was like, "Hey, what's up?
Hey guys, can you wrap it up?"
Damn,
oh, man.
She called it. There's a lot more to talk
Wait a
about.
second. This is what we get for doing this on Sunday morning.
I know, right?
I guess we got to go to church.
Yeah, I'm missing church right now.
I had to laugh at the reunion. Doc went up to her and was like, "I'm waiting for you to yell to wrap it up." She heard, because he hears her on the podcast. He said actually the first time he heard it, he thought it was legit for real that she was doing that.
Yeah.
And he was pissed.
Yeah.
He's like, "Man, why are they cutting it off now?" But
thanks a lot, Mrs. Dave.
she gets, I get a lot of complaints about that. One guy, RJ, shout out to RJ down in North Carolina. He's like, "Man, when she comes on, you guys are usually really getting into it."
Yep.
And he's like, "Man, I get, you leave me on a cliffhanger."
Our apologies, RJ.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
It was also about the reunion. I just wanted to add, it was nice seeing everybody, but there was a conversation I was having with Trung.
Oh yeah, but with Trung.
And it was Bobby T.
Yeah.
And Doc.
Yeah.
And I guess we were talking about growing up, and we go back to that stuff, and some of them were saying, like, when we talk about like our age, with a lot of guys like our age, they can go back and reminisce. And they were talking about like being at a friend's house or a mom's house, like having their breakfasts or like certain things that they cooked. Sure. Like Trung was naming about like Bobby T's mom made these strombolis or whatever, and they were like the most amazing things. And I just remember, some of your friends' houses, like what their moms made, or if they had like, a snack that you liked. Yeah. This is one of the things that like, kind of takes you back,
Palm sweaty, mom spaghetti.
Yeah.
You're funny you said that. I had a friend, Craig, who, rest in peace, he passed away, but his mom made Chef Boyardee pizza.
Yeah.
And I just remember as like an 8, 9, 10-year-old loving Chef Boyardee pizza.
It had like was it the cheese that was on it? It's not even real.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can relate.
And
you know who wasn't eating Chef Boyardee pizza? Elizabeth Holmes.
Absolutely.
No, that's real pizza.
That's at a $4.5 billion cars doors go like this with a valuation like that. Yeah.
Right.
Do you still eat pizza if you're like a billionaire?
Shit, yeah.
You sure? I don't know. I'd be like, I'm good.
Warren Buffett every day or every other day or so stops. He drives a shit Toyota car.
Yeah, he drives a Toyota. Yeah, Warren Buffett
buys a fucking cheeseburger.
He's a different dude, though.
Well, that, and I saw a picture of Bill Gates out in front of like a burger joint waiting in line.
Sure.
You know what I mean? These people eat normal shit.
Yeah.
And talking about Elizabeth Holmes, there was a thing, they were talking about her. She wouldn't really sleep. She would eat like, she would order takeout, stay up all hours in the morning working.
Right.
Working on ideas and her company. So I don't think they always have the best diets.
I'd be getting like good Thai food and stuff, but I don't know if I'd be eating pizza all the time.
I wonder, when she's doing all of this up late, like I get it. When you own a business like that, especially something that big, like that's your life. Forget the idea of, floating around and doing whatever. You got to get this thing up and off the ground. I just can't help but wonder, what was she doing with all that time? Like, was she thinking of the next thing, or was she thinking of how to really, make this happen, or how to deliver all of these things to all of these new clients and these new customers? What was she thinking about?
I think she was putting fires out. I have a little bit on that, which I mean, that was like one part of it, but
don't you think anybody in a situation or in her shoes, like you constantly have to be thinking ahead? Like there's no time to rest.
Correct.
if you're making billions of dollars. That's why I think a lot of these people burn out so quick or have to do things differently, or like Dave said, you're putting out fires all the time because you don't want to lose that.
Yeah, well, I'll bring that up in the next episode. But speaking of putting out fires, I think She might be lighting a match upstairs.
Oh, wow.
Christ.
Look out.
We better get going. But you guys got anything else quick before we go?
No. Just looking forward to finish this and getting further in this.
We'll see what happens next.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the old dirty basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We outie 5000.